Imagine charging a machine gun nest head-on, knowing you'll probably never walk away, but doing it anyway because your entire platoon's survival depends on you. That was the fate of Private First Class Joseph P. Martinez during the battle for Attu Island in World War II. And though most people today have never heard his name, his act of raw courage cemented him as the first draftee to ever receive the Medal of Honor in the entire war. Martinez wasn't some battle-hardened Marine or grizzled commando. He was just an ordinary kid from Colorado, drafted into the Army in 1942 and assigned to the brand new 7th Infantry Division. He trained at Fort Ord, shipped out with the rest of the division, and was suddenly thrown into one of the most brutal and overlooked campaigns of the entire Pacific War, the Aleutian Islands. Now, if you don't know much about the Aleutians, picture this: freezing, desolate, windswept mountains where fog rolls in so thick you can't see 5 feet in front of you. It was less like the tropical jungle campaigns we associate with the Pacific, and more like fighting on the edge of Antarctica. And yet in May of 1943, American forces were sent to reclaim Attu from 2,300 entrenched Japanese troops. The Japanese had dug into those ridges and cliffs, and the U.S. soldiers had to claw their way up in miserable conditions. Martinez's platoon was tasked with taking a ridge known as Fishhook Hill, and this wasn't some gentle slope. It was steep, rocky, and crawling with enemy fire. As they pushed up the incline, the platoon came under withering machine gun fire that pinned them down. The Japanese had set up interlocking fields of fire, the kind of defense designed to make sure no one could move without being shredded. The advance stalled. That's when Joseph Martinez decided he wasn't going to sit there and wait to die. With nothing but his rifle and sheer determination, he rose up, charging directly toward the machine gun position that had them pinned. Imagine the chaos bullets cracking past him, mud and rocks spraying in every direction. But Martinez didn't hesitate. He stormed up that hill, reached the first nest, and took it out with well-placed fire. But he didn't stop there. Instead of falling back to cover, Martinez kept going, charging deeper into the Japanese defenses. He moved from foxhole to foxhole, firing as he went, knocking out positions single-handedly. His platoon, stunned and inspired, followed in his wake. Together they surged up Fishhook Hill, taking ground that had seemed impossible just moments before. Now here's the part that makes his story legendary. Even after being mortally wounded during the charge, Martinez refused to quit. He kept fighting, kept moving forward, and kept pressing the attack until the machine guns were silenced and his platoon had seized the ridge. Only then did he collapse. He died on the battlefield, but his sacrifice turned the tide of that fight. Without him, the assault would have likely failed, and the cost in American lives would have been far higher. Halfway through his story, I want to pause and ask you, what do you think drives a person to do this? Was it training? Was it pure instinct? Or was it something deeper, like a belief that the lives of his friends were worth more than his own? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because stories like this are almost impossible for us to wrap our heads around today. For his actions on May 26, 1943, Joseph Martinez was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. The citation reads that his fearless aggressiveness and heroic determination were an inspiration to his comrades and enabled his platoon to attain its objective. He became the first draftee of World War II to receive the Medal of Honor, proof that the average American plucked from civilian life could rise to greatness under fire. His hometown of Ault, Colorado, never forgot him. Streets and schools were named in his honor. Statues were erected. And yet outside of his community and military historians, his story faded into the background of the larger war. That's part of why it deserves to be retold, not just as a footnote, but as a reminder of what one person can do when everything is on the line. The battle for Attu itself was a nightmare. American forces suffered nearly 4,000 casualties in less than 3 weeks of fighting, including frostbite, trench foot, and disease. The Japanese, as they often did, fought to the last man. On May 29th, just 3 days after Martinez's death, the Japanese launched one of the largest banzai charges of the war. Over 1,000 enemy soldiers hurled themselves at the American lines in a final suicidal assault. It was chaos hand-to-hand combat, bayonets, grenades, even fists and rocks when ammo ran out. By the end of it, the Japanese garrison was virtually annihilated. Only 29 survived to surrender. Attu was the only land battle of World War II fought on American soil, if you count Alaska as home territory. And in that remote, frozen hellscape, Joseph Martinez became a symbol of courage for an entire division and for draftees everywhere. So next time you think about World War II heroes, don't just remember the big names like Audie Murphy or the Hollywood stories we already know. Remember the quiet kid from Colorado who charged into a wall of machine gun fire and refused to stop, even as he lay dying, because his brothers needed him to. That's Joseph P. Martinez, and his story deserves to be told.